Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Welcome to another edition of our Thursday night's class. Next week and the following week, next week is Leil Bikat Chametz, so obviously there's no shiur. And the following week is Pesach, also no shiur, so we got 2 weeks off. And then we will resume our classes. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Pesach, Bezat Hashem. So we should come in with some spiritual readiness into the holiday. I'll give you a disclaimer in advance. Little parts of what we're going to discuss we've spoken in previous years, but in order to have an entire puzzle, we're going to need a few things that we've spoken in previous years. So I ask forgiveness in advance from those who remember all the material, that you'll have Chazarat HaShiur a little bit on a couple of little parts. In the Agadah, there's a very interesting thing. First of all, the Maharal or Tzodok, many discuss that if you pay attention about Pesach, a lot of things that have to do with the Seder come in denominations of 4. 4 cups of wine, Keneged Arba Banim Dibra Torah, the 4 sons, the 4 questions of the Manishtana. There are a lot of 4s going on. And they discuss why. And then on the 4 cups, actually there it goes to the next level. There's a 5th as well. But there's 4 for us and 1 for Eliyahu Navi Zachur Asot. Veheveti, Emunah and Biat HaMashiach. That 5th cup is not so far-fetched. I will tell you firsthand that I had the schut one year as a young child to be by the Seder by my grandfather, named after Rav Yaakov Yagen, Zechat Tzadik V'Kadosh Levacha, from the greatest Kabbalists of a lot of generations. And when we were at the end of the Seder, he looked around the table and he said, why did nobody say hello? And we thought, he wasn't young already, and it was late at night and whatever else. He normally went to sleep early. So nobody answered. And then again, he says, you have no respect? My grandfather was a very gentle person. He never spoke harsh. And he said it in like almost an angry tone. I said, what do you mean? Hello to who? We said hello when we came in 4 hours ago before the Seder. So the Eliyahu Navi was just here. He went around the table and nobody gave him a hand. Not bad, huh? And to him it was simple, yeah. So then, the next day, I saw he was in a good mood. So I said, I'll take advantage. So I told him in Hebrew, I said, Saba, do you see Eliyahu Navi? So he told me back, he said it in Arabic, I'll say it in English. He said, what do you mean? He's my close friend. So I was quiet. I didn't know how do you respond to somebody who tells you Eliyahu Navi is his close friend. I didn't say anything. So then I went to my grandmother. She was more talkative. It was easier to get things out of her. So I told the Saba roet Eliyahu Navi. Does Saba see Eliyahu Navi? So he says, sure, he learns with him. And then she smiled, and she said, V'gam ani zachiti lirot oto. And I also saw him. So I said, well, when did you see him? I wanted to know, and now I really want to know. This is getting interesting. So just so you understand, so people don't think that this is a fantasy or illusion, to put things in perspective, my grandfather Zechat Tzadik Levacha was a chavruta, the first Chaim Yosef Areb, one of the most famous Kabbalists, great Kabbalists of all times, and then learned chavruta every night from Chatzot until 11 o'clock in the morning. That's almost 11 hours every night, with Rabbi Mordechai Sharabi, Zechat Tzadik Levacha. I'm sure many of you heard Rabbi Mordechai Sharabi. He learned 11 hours a day with him for over 25 years straight. That's the Baba Sali. Very few times saw my grandfather, but the few times that he saw him, he stood up for him aleikum ato, completely. So when he says he saw Eliyahu Navi, that's the real deal. That's not. Today, a lot of people have hallucination issues and they think they see all different things. For that, there's medications. But so my grandmother tells me, "What do you mean? I'll tell you a story." She says it was about 20 years before she told me the story, and she told me this story. Probably about 30 years ago, so we're going back about 50 years or so, approximately. So we lived in Yerushalayim, and I was very sick. I wasn't feeling well. And I went to the doctor, to this, Dr. Valach, I think was still alive, and they didn't know what to do for me. And it affected Saba, because I used to cook for him at night when he came home, and he would eat and then go to sleep. And I couldn't cook, I was weak, I couldn't. It affected him. So I said, what do you mean? But why didn't anybody else cook for him? So he said, what do you mean? You don't know that Saba didn't eat from other people? He made ki'ilu he ate, but he didn't really eat from other people. I said, and? He said, and one day, Saba came home. My grandfather used to work. Girls that are single, that have anything against working boys. My grandfather was the great Kabbalist, used to work. He had a store in Machne Yehuda, in the shuk, in the marketplace, and he used to sell perfume. That was his business. It was an interesting way of working. He had a store opened at 11:15 in the morning and closed by 1, but he had a store. He had a store. Rabbi David Asher in his Emunah book has a whole story about that, how his store was very successful. They had an interesting thing over there. He never counted money. He never counted money. So when somebody came to buy, so he would say how much it is, and the guy gave him money. He didn't look. He just stuck it into a box. So we once wanted to understand, what's this way of behaving? What's this mystery here? So he explained us to Rav Sharabi once told him, that if you don't count money, you never run out of money. That happens to be today. I think everybody has to count money because there's a lot of mistakes and misunderstandings and geza and whatever. Be careful. But then it was different. So he said that he has this box, and any money that comes in, he sticks in, and whenever he needs money, he takes out. I said, and he says, look, all the kids have apartments and this and that, everybody's good. I need a box like that. I don't have to fundraise. Just have a box. So I said, and where's the box now? When I heard about the box. He said that once one of the grandchildren opened it and then it stopped working. But Hashem only lets blessing last on, he didn't want to tell me which grandchild that was. I guess he knew what I would do to it. But these are tzaddikim, they lived in a different thing. So he said, one day, he used to come home 1 o'clock, he would rest a little bit and go back to the yeshiva. And he said one day he didn't go back. So I asked him, why aren't you going back? So he said, because I see you're not feeling well and I don't want to leave you alone. He was a mensch. So she told him, my grandmother was she didn't put up with nonsense. She told him, and you staying home what? You're not a doctor. You don't know how to cook. You don't even know how to make tea. So you can't help me. What's it going to help me? You're going to be home. Go learn. So he said, you know what? I'm going to go to the yeshiva, and by the time I come home tonight, you'll be healthy. He told him. Why is that a big pele? Because even great Kabbalists have big powers in life. Chazal say, Ein chavush matir atzmo beit asurim. You can't do for your own family. Like, my grandfather wasn't able to heal Rav Nissen, his own son. His own family, you're not powerful. So that he would go tell his wife that I'll go to the yeshiva and you'll be all right. It's very interesting. He went. My grandmother says that there was at one point there was a knock on the door. Some guy came and she opened the door. He looked like a poor guy. He looked like a homeless, and he asked for food. And she told him that there's 2 problems. Number 1, my husband's not home, so I can't bring you in. Yichud. Number 2, I'm not feeling well and that, so I don't have what to give you really. So the guy said, okay, and he left. My grandfather came home supper time, and she came to him upset. I'm not feeling better. So she said, what do you mean? He didn't come heal you? So he said, who's he? He said, Eliyahu Navi. He said, no, Eliyahu Navi came. Some homeless guy came, asked for food. He says, oh, wait, that was Eliyahu Navi. What'd you do? When he came to learn with me, I sent him to you. Not bad. Sending Eliyahu Navi on messages. Go here, take care of this for me, take care of that for me. Not bad. Send it. So he says, so what do we do now? He says, I'm going to go back to learn. Hopefully he'll come back to learn with me, and I'll send him again. And so Eliyahu Navi is an angel. There's no yichud. You could take him into the house. My grandmother says, there was a knock on the door. She opened. He came in. She served him whatever there was. She says there wasn't really what to serve. She says, what bushot? For my grandchildren, I make better food than I gave Eliyahu Navi. I said, don't worry, Grandma. An angel, he doesn't need to eat. It's fine. And then she says she made some sort of body of water in the middle of the dining room. He told her to go in. She went in. He disappeared. The water disappeared, and she felt better. Weird story. The tzaddikim, Lela said that they were able to see Eliyahu Navi. Very interesting. They had a schut. Right. Now listen to something. Now let's see where we're going with this. Leil HaSeder. Laila shemisadrim bo dvarim harbe, the rabbis teach us. A night that we could arrange many things. Seder is organized. person has a lot of issues in life. You want to straighten them out, and Leila said you could straighten it out. Now listen to Chidush that I'm sure many of you know, but I didn't know this. This is new to me. I saw this in Rav Tzadok. So what a Chidush. From Rav Tzadok, there's a kuntus. Rav Tzadok has many Sfarim. But besides the kuntus, like a small sefer, it's called Amalah Shel Torah. In the kuntus of Rav Tzadok, Amalah Shel Torah, right at the beginning, in Ot Aleph, he discusses an interesting thing. He says, if you pay attention, there's tons and tons of Sfarim and Pirushim and commentaries on the Haggadah. Go into any Judaica store if you're curious. Shelves and shelves and shelves, and each one different. The amount of new Haggadot that come out every year, I don't know, probably 20, 30 new ones every year. But if you look, most of them are the last 100 years. Very few are dated back a long time ago. So Oz V'Adah compiled a beautiful Haggadah that they even made a Sardic version of different pieces from all different Rishonim. But it wasn't that they wrote the commentary on the Haggadah. They compiled from different places things that have to do with the Haggadah. There is in Sefer Aruch and other things on the Haggadah, but percentage-wise, you would think the Haggadah Shel Pesach that is so important and has so much meaning, there would be much more older Pirushim and much less younger Pirushim. The facts are the opposite. There's much more younger Pirushim and much less older Pirushim from previous years. And Rav Tzadok discusses why is it like that? Why? So Rav Tzadok goes into Kifi Darko, a little bit Kabbalah, and he says that in the Sefer Pri Eitz Chaim and Shar HaMatzot in Perek Aleph, don't think that that's not my knowledge, I don't know anything about Pri Eitz Chaim, but I just saw it quoted. I know you're supposed to hold it with your right hand, but I'm a lefty, that's why I say I made a mistake. But anyway, not a left wing, a lefty. So you have to be careful. Then Bernie Sanders is going to run his next campaign. Look, even the rabbis agree with me. So over there it's brought down that in Yechezkel, right at the beginning, the first pasuk, right at the beginning of the Navi Yechezkel. Yechezkel was a prophecy that was written on the highest level of prophecies that we don't really understand today. In any, not even a glimpse. So Yechezkel saw everything in heaven open. The way we see each other now, Yechezkel Navi saw all the heavens, everything wide open. So Yechezkel, the first pasuk Yechezkel writes, Niftechu hashamayim, the heavens got open for him. Va'ereh marot Elokim, and I saw the visions of God. He saw clearly, as clear as could be. So in the Pri Eitz Chaim it says, Pesach means to skip over. He says it also means, and I'm watering it down the way I understood it, probably there's so much more depth that I don't understand here. It also means, there's also a way to explain the word Pesach, as psicha is a type of opening, not pticha the way it should be spelled, but similar, a similar way, an exchange of letters. He says that's Lela Pesach. The night of Pesach is a night that all the heavens open wide open, and you can look up. Comes up Tzaddik and writes, in the older generations, they were holy, they were pure. So when they looked up, they were able to see. What were they able to see? The deepest secrets, the holiest things in the world. And these were things that they knew Hashem doesn't allow to put down in writing. And that's why they didn't write Pirushim on Haggadah. He said, as the generations went down, and they weren't on such high levels anymore, and they couldn't see such high things, so what they were able to see, they were able to write already. You hear what's going on? You understand what's going on here? What Leila Seder is? And when Leila Seder comes out on a Friday night, Alachat Kama v'Kama, you have Kedushat Shabbat, and Kedushat Yom Tov, and the Kedushat of the Seder together. Ashreinu matov chilkeinu, that we merit such a thing. No, but now I want to take this and flip this whole story around exactly that 180 degrees on a shallow level. On a deep level, it's exactly the same, but on a shallow level. What's the theme of the Seder? When the Torah talks about the mitzvot of the Seder, so matzah, not yet, but besides for that, V'igata lebincha, that's the whole theme of the Seder. You should tell your child, you should teach your child the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim. Wait a second. Imagine, Hashem should forgive me for the parallel a little, but it's still, to bring it down. You're in your house, and Chaim Kanievsky decides to visit you. Comes. Gershon Edelstein comes to visit you. And your 2-year-old comes with his game over there. Daddy, I can't figure out how to turn the game on. Can you turn the switch on? Most parents are going to tell, get out of here. I'm sitting with the Gdol Ador. Now you're coming with a game? That's what you're coming with now? Now let's say a better case. It'll sound a little better. You're sitting with the Gdol Ador, and your 4-year-old, your 5-year-old comes with a sheet from his Rebbe that he has to practice Aleph Bet. Daddy, can you practice with me the Aleph Bet, please? Now I'm sitting with the Gdol Ador. Come back soon. Right? I think we would all think that and do that. And I'm sure we would also later on tell the kid, you have to respect the Gdol Ador. You don't come with your sheep when the Gdol Ador is here. Morai v'Ravotai, that shows why we have a young generation that's growing up a little off the deep end sometimes. Because they don't have parents. They're yitomim b'chayei aviyim, they're orphans when their parents are still alive. Literally. Because that's our priorities. What's Leil HaSeder when you want to organize your thoughts and your way of behaving? What does it teach you? All the gates of heaven are open. You could see Marot Elokim. To the point that the tzaddikim couldn't even write Sfarim, that's how deep and holy it was. But what's the mitzvah anyway? V'gatal lebincha. Go lower yourself down to your kid's level and explain him the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim on his level in a way that he understands. And if you don't do that, you miss the main mitzvah of the whole Seder. You think you're holy, you saw such holy things, and you miss the mitzvah of the whole Seder. A very common mistake in Jewish homes that I hope we avoid is a lot of times the father sits there and let's say he's a Talmid Chacham, and he says all these deep chidushim from Chaim Brisker and that, barely he understands, and the family's bored. And he thinks he's doing something good. He doesn't realize that that defeats the whole purpose of the Seder. The whole purpose of the Seder is v'gatal lebincha. It's to simplify things in a way that everybody should understand it. Everybody should relate to it. That everybody should connect to it. If you don't do that, then you miss the goal of the Seder. But that also shows how much HaKadosh Baruch Hu demands from us to give to our children. Or to every child is our child. Every Jewish child is our child. Baruch HaMakom Baruch Hu. When we bless God in the Haggadah, what's the blessing? Not that He created the world. Keneged arba'a banim dibrat Torah. The Torah has a language in it for everybody. There's nobody that the Torah doesn't talk to. Whether it's a Chacham, a wise man, a Rasha, even the most evil, Tam, and a naive person, and somebody who's so stupid that he doesn't even know where to start asking. And that's when we want to give God like the quote-unquote compliment. The shvach of Borei Olam is that we were able to write a Torah that fits for everybody. Shvach HaMakom. That means, and that was, by the way, that was the tzivui of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe Rabbeinu. Be'ilu ha'mishpatim asher tasim lifneihem. So look over there, Rashi brings down Chazal. Shi'or ruchim lifneihem. You should spread it out like a meal, like serve it to them. Make sure you spoon feed Am Yisrael the Torah. You give it to them in a way that they can accept. This is very important because the foundation of Emunah is Zecher Yetziat Mitzrayim. Right? Everything that we do practically is Yetziat Mitzrayim. Kriyat Shema, we mentioned Mitzrayim. Kiddush Mitzrayim. This Mitzrayim. Everything's Mitzrayim. Almost the whole Judaism revolves around something to do in one way, shape, or the other with Yetziat Mitzrayim. Go through everything that we do in Judaism. In the tefillin, in the this, everything has to do with it. Somehow links to that. Now, of course, we spoke before Purim that Israel is above luck, except for the month of Adar. But anyway, by us we like the word luck. Mazal, 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 mazal. What do I do for my mazal? Everything's mazal. Mazal is Rashi Tevot, Zecher Yetziat Mitzrayim. If you want to have a good mazal in life, the first thing you have to do is understand the whole musig of Yetziat Mitzrayim. That's the first contingency. And that's what brings a person positive things in his life. So this is of utmost importance. That means you could take from this night your whole year. Laila shemisadlim bo dvarim. This is the night of the whole year. It's like somebody's an intern and he has to take a test to get his final license. And he's so busy working in the ER that he doesn't go to the test. The only reason why you're working in the ER is in order to go take the test to become what you want to become. If you don't show up to the test, what did you do? That's Leil HaSeder. Leil HaSeder is the test of faith. And that makes the whole year be a normal year afterwards. Not to show up to Leil HaSeder, I don't mean physically, I mean to be there, present, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So we missed the point. And the Yetzirah knows that, and he'll do anything in the world to make sure that somebody doesn't have a good Leil HaSeder. And I think one of the reasons why Am Yisrael went into this excessive cleaning mode, even though Halacha 99% of it is not necessary, is because of that. It's like this, you're so physically and emotionally drained by the time the Seder comes from a whole month of working and slaving, you just fall asleep at the table. And he won. That's it, he got you. A Jewish home, the way it should look, is that next Friday, at Pesach, the house is sleeping. Literally sleeping. Everything's ready. Physically sleeping. Everybody goes to sleep. It's like this, when the Seder comes, the people are awake, they have energy. And if there's 10,000 things to do, then you have to ask what went wrong. How did Yitzhahara win over here? You go out in the morning, you do Biur Chametz, and for the men that are firstborns, they're fasting anyway, so they want to go to sleep. And for everybody else, also, why not? And then you should come ready. Come ready. And this glimpse that we could see can have a direct influence on the entire year of a person. There's a very, very famous story that the Chidush Harim wanted to go to his Rebbe once, the Holy Kotzker Rebbe, Zecher Tzadik Levracha Zchutei Yagen Aleinu, and it was the winter, it was freezing cold. In those days there was no cars with heating and this and that, it was horse and buggy, it was cold, that was the way to travel. So for an older man, fine, you wear enough clothes and this, that, you figure it out. But for youngsters, it's dangerous. And the Chidush Harim took his 2 grandchildren with him. Took with him his grandchildren. And everybody said to him, what are you doing? It's dangerous, it's sakona. It doesn't make sense. So he answered, I want them to see what a real Jew looks like. Somebody asked him, but they're young kids, so they'll see. What's that going to help? He said, just one seeing it is going to change their entire life. Just from seeing the Kedusha of a real tzaddik one time, that alone is going to change their whole life. I can tell you, going down a bunch of years, that I once had a close acquaintance, that he was a young boy, he was I think 19 at the time, and his head was in all different places except for where it should be. And we tried to encourage him and to love him and to accept him, and all the techniques we tried. The old-fashioned ones, the modern-age ones, we tried them all. And honestly, there was a point that I used to think to myself, I better talk to the wall, because at least the wall doesn't answer me stupid answers. And that's not my type. I'm very patient normally with people. But it was really, I didn't know what to do anymore. But there was somebody close to me, and I said, we have to save this guy no matter what. So one Motzei Shabbos, something came into my head, that I'm driving to Montreal to go see the great Tosh Rebbe, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh L'Vracha. So I went to this boy, I said, you have a driver's license? He said, sure. I said, perfect. He said, what? I said, I have a job for you. He says, what's the job? I said, I have 6.5 hours from Lakewood to Montreal. It's hard to drive that. I'm going to pay you. You're going to do half the drive. I'll do half the drive. Together we'll make it in one piece. He says, what are you doing in Montreal? I said, I'm actually going 20 minutes further than Montreal, to Tosh. He says, what's there? I said, a Rebbe, a Hasidic Rebbe. He says, you're Sephardic, we're not Hasidic. What are you? I said, okay, but Hasidim are also Jews. What do you want? Now what? We're going, the holy man, we're going to Tosh Rebbe. He says, okay, if you're paying me, I'll drive you, but I have no interest. You know that. I said, I never told you to have any interest. I was hoping the whole way that when we get there, I'll convince him to go into the Rebbe. That was my goal. And the Rebbe had his way with people. We got there, we done with seeking, we did what we had to do, we waited till it was, we had a close relationship, Baruch Hashem with Tosh, and I went into the Rebbe. And the boy wasn't willing to come in. And the whole reason why I took him was in order to go. Now I feel like I wasted my time. I said, okay, at least Hashem knows I tried. I come into the Rebbe and I give him a kvittel, a piece of paper with my name and that, and he knows me, he knew me. My wife for 2 years, but 2.5 years, and we're 3 now. But he knew me well. And he tells me, Yaakov, you didn't come alone, why'd you come into me alone? How do you know? Ruach HaKodesh, live Ruach HaKodesh. I said, Rebbe, it's true, there's a boy that I brought with me, but he doesn't want to come in. He calls one of the Gabayim, and he tells him, Nochem, go outside, and tell the boy like this. Either he comes into me to eat breakfast, because he didn't eat breakfast yet, or I go outside to serve him breakfast. He should pick which one he wants. Whichever he feels more comfortable, that's what he should do. And this, Hasidim is no games. That's why I like this way of thinking. The Rebbe says, you do. The Gabbai went outside. No chokhmas. Buddy, I don't know who you are, but the rabbi said, the grand rabbi, Either you come inside to eat breakfast, or he's coming out to you to serve you breakfast. You should pick. Please pick so I can tell him what the decision is. He says, no, the rabbi can't come outside to serve me breakfast. It's embarrassing. He said, he's going to do it. So, if not, the other choice is to come inside. I agreed. Came inside, and the Rebbe stands up for him. Really stands up. Gives him his hand, tells him, come, sit down. And the Rebbe tells his Gabbai, come help me, because he was old already, very old. Come help me. And he walks with the Gabbai to the refrigerator to take out food to give this guy breakfast. That was the promise, breakfast. And the Rebbe was talking to me, and the entire time looking at him and saying, did you like it? If not, we'll buy you something else, we'll bring you something else. He was busy with his breakfast. No, we got done. The Rebbe gave me a nice bracha. This boy didn't even care to get a blessing from the Rebbe. He couldn't care less. The Rebbe told me, you're full now? He said, yeah. He didn't tell him, say Birkat HaMazon. Nothing. He told him, you should have a safe trip back. That's all he told the boy. The boy walked out. I walked out afterwards. I was embarrassed. I wanted to bury myself, and I didn't understand. Breakfast, that's what's important. We're lacking restaurants in Montreal to buy breakfast for the guy. This is what's important now. Not a word, nothing. He didn't even try to tell him anything. Give him chizuk. It's funny to me. But what should I tell you? We're driving back. We went straight back. And we got to the Lake George area, more or less. And the boy turns to me and tells me, when are we stopping? I said, we're going to stop soon because it's going to be mincha. We'll be able to pray mincha. I have to pray mincha. I can't pray in the car. We'll stop so I can pray. He says, great. I said, what's great? He said, I want to put on tefillin. And I'm driving like this. Within less than a month, he was about Shuva Gom. Adayom, he doesn't know how to explain why. We're very close friends. I always ask him, what happened there? So I don't know. Power of seeing Kedusha. Just seeing something all he wants. I don't like talking about this. It goes the other way also. When you see garbage, you become a garbage can. That's the way it works. But in Mila Seder, every Jew has the ability to seek Kedusha. But let me tell you what's important. Chaim Shmulevitz itself makes a very interesting observation. Chazal teach us, is a Chazal, if I have to bet, everybody here knows by heart. That even the maid, by Kriyat Yamsuf, saw Marot Elokim on a level that the greatest prophet, Yechezkel, that we just quoted from, even he didn't get to the level of seeing that level of prophecy. So Chaim Shmulevitz makes a very, very typical, a kill I call it. He says, wait a second. The Shifcha saw Marot Elokim. She saw the highest level that you could see in Shamayim. And she still stayed a Shifcha. She stayed the same maid, nothing changed. That means a person has free will. So when you see something holy or you're part of something holy, it has the ability to affect you in the right way. But if you don't allow it to affect you the right way, Hashem gives you that choice too. You could stop it from it. You could sit by the Seder and allow Marot Elokim to take your life over. You could sit by the Seder and talk about politics and nonsense and stupidity and the latest movie that did or didn't come out, and you stayed the same Shifcha. Nothing changed. It would be a shame to ruin such a night and such it would really be a shame. It wouldn't make any sense. What's more, that the Zohar Kadosh writes that matzah is lechem refuah. It's Hashem's bread, and therefore it heals you. Heals you doesn't only mean physically. Heals you means everywhere, spiritually, emotionally. The Zohar Kadosh writes. So you have a merit to be mekayem a mitzvah like that, to do it the right way, b'kavanah, and to buy matzah al pi halacha is really kosher. Some matzah is better not to eat because the halacha is probably chametz, but buy a good matzah. To be extra careful and not to be scared, to spend money, it's Otzot Yom Tov, there's nothing to worry about, it's on God's bill. Don't think you're going to save anything. Don't think you're going to save anything. Don't think you're going to save anything. I had a story, I'll share with you a very personal story this past Friday. Hashem gave me a nice punch in the face, it was good. Told me, I need wake-up calls. This was a wake-up call. I went Friday afternoon to a certain liquor store. And I saw a bottle of something that I like. And I said, maybe I'll buy it for Shabbos. Then listen to how smart the Yetzer Hara is, how he manipulates you. He's not going to tell me don't buy it for Shabbat, because I don't listen to it. I don't care what it costs. Tells me it's almost Pesach. And our custom is, Baruch Hashem, hopefully we should always stick to this, that we don't sell chametz. We throw everything out. So whiskey's all chametz. I drink whiskey. What are you going to do with it? Pesach, you already have 5-6 bottles at home. How many? You're going to be an alcoholic in 2 weeks. It's not good. Be careful. He came with all the things in the world. The bottle cost $300. That was the price of the bottle. Yeah, I like fine things in life. I'm not scared to admit it. But during the week I don't do that. Chod Shabbat. God's bill. I'm large on God's bill. I didn't buy it. It's our one. Friday night, I already felt a little something inside my stomach. I said, my brother-in-law was sitting near me Friday night. I told him, I regret it. It was a mistake. Chod Shabbat. The other stuff, we spilled it out before Pesach. Who cares? Chod Shabbat, something new. Especially when you felt the draw, you wanted it. Something happened this week in my personal family, doesn't make a difference, that I had to pay exactly the same amount of money as this bottle cost to a doctor. Because Baruch Hu told me, you shaitan. You want to save money on Friday, you'll pay it on some other day. What did you say? Same thing with Yom Tov. Pesach's a very expensive holiday. Very expensive. I'm not talking about if you go to hotels or this, even without that. Just to be home. It could be easily $4,000 or $5,000 it can cost. It's a very expensive holiday. If you get, real kosher meat and real kosher matzah and whatever, it's expensive, it's not cheap. And the Yetzer Hara comes and says, what's going to be? You can't afford this. And here, because Baruch Hu gives a person a test of faith before the Seder. Do you really believe that Latzot Shabbat and Yom Tov Eino Min HaMinyan, Lavu Alai V'ani Efar or not? And Chazal say, in Pesach, there's an interesting thing. The whole year is not like that. One of the things that Hashem doesn't like is a person who's a fraud. Somebody who acts the way he's not. Like, for example, when Mashiach comes, I don't know if we're going to drive cars or not. What I do know is we won't drive leased cars. Because that's a fraud. You can't afford nothing, and you're driving a car like a rich man. Because the payment of this is not that big, you somehow could swing your by. Hashem doesn't like fakers like that. Don't flaunt. What are you doing? Let us say that, Chazal say, that even if you don't have nice things to put out on the table, borrow from your friends, and this is all different halachot what to do, so the table should look like kingdom. This is different than the whole year. The answer is very simple. Because Baruch Hu says in Leila said that behave in a dignified way, in a way of malchut, and you'll bring down a shefa of malchut for the whole year for yourself. You'll bring down something very big for yourself. It's an amazing thing. Unbelievable thing. It's good to know. By the way, for those who are capable and it doesn't affect them, not their mind and not their health in a bad way, I think, I might be wrong on this, correct me if I'm wrong, but just like every mitzvah, you have to do a mitzvah, Abba Kosot, except for the first day. And just like by every mitzvah we look to get the best, if you're drinking 4 cups of wine, you should get a good wine. That's the mitzvah there. They do mitzvah. Now some people can't handle it and that, it's not good for them, the alcohol can make them crazy, whatever, so they shouldn't obviously. But for somebody who is going to, does it anyway, I think it's Hidu Mitzvah. And I think it's something that people don't pay attention to. I really think it's a simple thing. That brings you good luck in life, and I think people just don't pay attention to it. This is a big night. We're talking about a big thing. So just to see, let us say, that could change the whole year. But again, don't be like a Chaim Shmulevitz's Shifcha Layam. She saw Marot Elokim and stayed a Shifcha. To see Marot Elokim and stay a Shifcha, that's a very big crime. That's a very, very sad thing. Very, very sad. Now I want to take it a step further. When we look at the 4 sons in Haggadah, we see that the Chacham asks a question, the Rasha asks a question. Chacham says, what's this that we're doing? Ma'avodah. The Rasha also comes with Avodah. Right? The words are a little different, but the idea is the same. Sorry, there's so many pirushim here, just to find a few words of Haggadah takes a lot of pages. Baruch Hashem. But חכם מה הוא אומר? מה העדות והחוקים והמשפטים אשר ציווה השם אלוקינו אתכם? What are these commandments that God commanded you to do? And then it says you should answer him, Afikon, the Hilchot HaPesach, and the mitzvah of Afikon. The Rasha comes also, Ma'avodah Hazat Lachem, what is it that you're doing? And by the Rasha, we answer a completely different answer. Afata Ket Shina, break his teeth. Huh? Where religion is very anti-violence. Afata Ket Shina. And then what? Not only that. And then tell him something else. That the Ilo Haya Sham Lo Haya Nigal. If you would have been in Egypt, you would have stayed there. You would have never came out. Chazal say in Parashat B'Shalach, "V'chamushim alu b'nei Yisrael mi'eretz Mitzrayim." Echad michamisha, only 1/5 of the Jewish nation came out of Egypt. 80% stayed behind. Shem Yirachim. Never know. Shem Yirachim. And that was in 3 days of darkness, or 6 days of darkness. How you want to look at it? It was really 3. The Zohar Kadosh writes before Mashiach comes, it's going to be 15 days of darkness. I stopped there. But why? This seems like discrimination. The Chacham, we give him this whole thing, Echot Pesach, Afikomen, Rasha, break his teeth. Huh? Second of all, it's the Seder. By the Seder, to break somebody's teeth, Al Pi Halakha, you're not allowed. It's Chovel. So Al Pi Halakha, you can't do it. So obviously it doesn't mean it literally. For many reasons. So what's going on over here? So I heard years ago from my father an unbelievable pshat. But later on I saw Chaim Shmulevitz already talks about it in a different way, but the concept. And this concept I want to elaborate on for a couple of minutes, and with that I'll send you off with something good for Pesach. What did Rasha do wrong? All he asks is, what's going on? What's this about? He has questions, then what's the point? You never had questions? And just the opposite, we're a religion that encourages questions. We always quote in the Shiur, the Rambam says, what's the mitzvah of emunah? Leida sheyesh matzu yishon, to know Hashem. Not some blind, irrational faith. To really learn emunah, to understand. Da'et Elokei avicha ve'ovdehu. There's a lot of knowledge in emunah that a person can grow in. So what do we want? So the Rasha is, what are you doing? He wants to understand what's wrong. Imagine you had a guest who never did a seder before. He comes to your house, let us seder. Best guest to have, let us. Shamayim, Hashem, so happy with a person like that. And he asks you, what are we doing now? What's this? Say, stop with your stupid questions. You defeated the whole purpose, right? That's not. It's just the opposite. We want questions. We want to encourage you. The whole Haggadah is built Sheila v'Tshuva, Ma nishtana v'adim hayinu. That's the whole idea of this question. So the Rasha asked the question. So what are you attacking him for? What do you want from him? The Chaim says an unbelievable thing. He says this also about Korach. He answers many different stories in Chazal with this idea. Many different stories. So I'm going to give you a part. He says, but in order to understand what Rav Chaim says, we're going to add on a little story. A different Rav Chaim Brisker, Zechat Tzadik Devachas Ch'Tayagin Aleinu. It's an unbelievable story of Chaim Brisker. Chaim Brisker had a yeshiva for the Iluim, the biggest brains. And he had a boy in yeshiva. Today we would call it went off the derech. I don't like that term, honestly. Number one, I don't like stigmas. But number two, I think he just never had a derech. If you have a derech, you stay on it. If you went off the derech, but it was never there in the first place. So it's a pain soul, a kid in a lot of pain. And this boy left the yeshiva. No, left. It's free will, do whatever you want. One day he shows up. He's back. But not to learn, he wants to talk to Rosh Yeshiva. But he looked a little different. Externally. He forgot to put on a kippah by the door, and whatever, It was just a little different technically. He wants to talk to Rosh Yeshiva. So they went to Reb Chaim and they said, you want to talk to him? He said, sure, he's my talmid, he's my student. He said, you don't look like your student, so it doesn't make a difference. He was my student, bring him in. So the boy comes in, and he turns to Reb Chaim and he says, Rabbi, I want to know something. He says, what? He says, I want to know if you still stand behind what you once said in the yeshiva, that you have an answer for any question anybody will ever ask you. He says, I stand behind it 100%. He says, I have a lot of questions. I want you to answer my questions. So Chaim says, no problem, gladly. Before I answer your questions, I have one question. The Jew has to answer a question with a question. That's the way it works. So he said, okay, one question, that's fair. But then I have a lot. He says, no problem. Then you're free to go. But one question I ask first. So what? He said, when did all these questions come to your mind? While you were in the yeshiva and because of that you decided to leave? Or after you left the yeshiva and now you have questions? He said, after I left. He said, I'm sorry, I have no answers for you. He said, what do you mean? A second ago you told me you have an answer for every question. Now you're saying you have no answers. What changed? He said, if you would have told me you were in yeshiva and you had questions and that's why you left, then you have questions and I have answers. What's the real answer, Elliot? What's really going on here? You out of a big Yetzirah. And you conceded to Yetzirah and left yeshiva. And now you need to answer your guilt on why you're not keeping Torah and mitzvot. So what's the easiest way to answer your guilt? To have questions. I don't believe. So these are not questions, these are answers. On an answer, there's no answer. So technically, I have nothing to tell you. We don't know the end of the story. I wonder what happened with that boy afterwards. That's so true. When a person asks you a question, in 3 seconds, you have to be able to assess before you answer them. Is it a question, or is it an answer and an excuse? And if it's an answer and an excuse, just crack a joke and move on. And if it's a legitimate question, then one of the ways I do this, sometimes people come to me, I have a question, There's no problem. Put it in writing with all the sources and send it to me in an email. I want to tell you 99% of the time I never get the email. Doesn't have a question. Bal Taiva wants to do whatever he wants. And is looking for a way to justify his evil behavior. Questions. And the ones that put it in writing, within a few days, their whole life turns around. Because if you care enough to sit down and source and write, then number one, half the questions right off the bat don't exist because they heard something that's wrong in the first place. Now they have a question on what was wrong. The question didn't start. And the other ones, Baruch Hashem, the Torah is full of answers. Our rabbis wrote so many books, there's no end. And one of them, there's an answer to everything. It's unbelievable. But that's a very, very big thing. It's a lot of times, questions are not a question. The same thing with complaints. A lot of times when a kid complains about something, he's not complaining. You ever realize that every 6-year-old, 15 minutes past his bedtime, and he's still downstairs in the kitchen making the house turn upside down, is suddenly hungry, as if he fasted 2 days straight, Yom Kippur? He's not hungry. Now, I think you should feed him anyway, by the way, because you have to show him that you care about his needs. But if there was a way to lab test it, I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, but I could pretty much, I can tell you, my 4 kids, they're just finishing supper 20 minutes ago, half an hour ago. But now we have it to complain about, so we drag more time. And then the pillow's not comfortable. But it's the pillow that you just slept on for 6 years. Suddenly it's not comfortable that night, and it's too cold, and then we open a window, we close the window, it's too hot, and then there's all these things, all excuses of why I don't want to do what I have to do. It's a very, very big difference. Comes up Chaim Shmulevitz and says to Yesod, how do you tell if one of the ways, if a person's asking a question or giving an excuse? He says the way he asks the question. If he says it quietly, respectfully, in an intellectual way, he's asking a question. If he yells it or says it in a vulgar way or attacks, he's giving an answer. He says the Chacham and the Rasha asked the same exact question in the Haggadah. But the Chacham asked it as a question. The Rasha asked it as an excuse to run away from the Seder. And that's why we don't break his teeth. We just tell you, you don't want to be here. We don't believe in imposing. We believe in free will. I'll leave. If you didn't want to leave Egypt, you didn't have to leave Egypt either. You could have stayed there too. As you wish, my friend. My father added on to that unbelievable piece. He said, an interesting thing. So what's the Rasha's question? Rasha's not asking why do we keep these mitzvot. He says, why do we have to keep mitzvot at all? In Hebrew, we all know that very well. It's called Dati Balev. Everything's in the heart. We talk about that a lot. He has a good heart. He has a good heart. I was once by a funeral. Hashem should forgive me for doing this, but I had to. I couldn't. The guy was, right now, hopefully he's in Gan Eden. But during his life, he definitely wasn't an example of somebody who wanted to do anything, forget about Jewish, not even anything moral or human. And when he passed away, they didn't know what were they going to say about his funeral. They said, everybody who spoke said the same thing. He has a good heart, has a good heart, has a good heart. I was exploding inside. I said, let's bury him, we'll say Kaddish, we'll learn Mishnayot for him, we'll learn that. Hopefully we'll have the Imun Shama that we'll take care of it. But what were you trying to lie about somebody? What's the point? I didn't say anything. I controlled myself. 3 nights later, they call me to speak by the Shiva. So I tell them, you don't want me to come, trust me. Trust me. Let's leave it like this, it's better I shouldn't come. No, we want you to come, we want you to come. I said, if I come, I'm going to say what I think, and it's going to hurt. Don't. It's wrong. I'll be upset at myself for saying it. You'll be upset that I said it. Afal PK. Okay, I walked into the house, maybe 120, 130 people there. Big Nichum Avim, he was a popular guy, he was a celeb of some sort in Israel. I walked in, I said, I'm not here to talk about the person who passed away. He's not in this world. I do advise us all to do a lot for his neshama. He should go to Gan Eden with Hashem. And we all did. Everybody took upon themselves to his Zilui neshama. I said, but I want to talk about those who are alive in this room that spoke by the funeral. I said, everybody says he has a good heart. I'm sorry, but at that point he didn't have a heart. His heart stopped working. I said, so the one thing you said, it wasn't even true. So you want to say something else, say he had Yisurim, he suffered emotionally terribly, and it wasn't his fault. He was an holiness. He couldn't do better. Because he was so caught up in this craziness of the celebrity world that he lived in, that he wasn't capable of seeing Hashem. That's a true statement to say. But to excuse all the craziness with a good heart, what's true about that? So his mother got a little bit upset, but not upset at what I said. I think she even agreed to what I said a little bit. She said, what do you mean he suffered? He didn't suffer. He had the greatest life in the world. Everybody loved him. He was a celebrity, the whole thing. So I said, I'm going to ask you one question. Did he do drugs or not? So she said, yeah, sure. He was always high. That's what she answered me. So I said, if he was a happy person, he wasn't suffering, he wouldn't have to run away, right? You only have to run away if you're suffering. If you're somewhere, you're having a good time, you don't run away from there, you stay there. If you're somewhere and it's raining on you, you go inside, you don't want to be there. I said, that just shows how much your poor son suffered, what it's like. And the Shomer that suffered through and through. And never, this was his way of escaping a little this, a little that. We should never know. Then I turned to the people, I said, now that we raised the subject, now we all have an obligation. We got to do something for his soul. So everybody in the room has to take upon themselves at least one mitzvah. And I want to tell you, Yisrael Kedoshim, so we're talking about a famous, I don't want to say because of his name, because of whatever, respect for the family, but a famous Israeli celebrity. So in the room over there was singers and this and that, all different people that are very famous names. One after another said they take upon themselves something. To the point that one Israeli young superstar singer said that he takes upon himself that he's not singing on Shabbat anymore. This guy used to make concerts on Shabbos like it was nothing. And recently I heard from him, he told me himself a story, blew my mind away. He said he was offered a concert, to do a certain concert in Park Hayakon in Tel Aviv. Park Hayakon is like where they make big concerts, 50,000 people I think or something, some crazy number. And it was all planned and scheduled. When he saw the schedule, he says about a month before the concert, they already sold out tickets and everything. He sees that it's scheduled for 8 o'clock p.m. Shabbat that week was over 7:40 p.m. So it's after Shabbat. It doesn't go against what he promised. He said, but wait a second, how do people get in there? They're driving on Shabbat. How am I getting there? I also have to drive on Shabbat. What about the sound guys and the lighting guys and all these guys? They also have to drive on Shabbat. Calls his agent or whatever it's called, the guy in charge. He says, buddy, I'm not showing up that night. I'm just letting you know. He says, the guy yelled at me. He used every word in the world that we should never know what they mean. He says, are you crazy? Your career is going to go down the drain. You're going to disappoint 50,000 fans? Back and forth, back and forth. Finally, his promoter calls him back, or his agent, whatever it's called, and he tells him, buddy, I have a solution. We figured it out. We'll put a band first as a warm-up act. They'll start at 8:30. You won't start until 9. So you'll be able to come after Shabbat, and everything will be beautiful. And this guy doesn't claim to be religious at all, by the way. And he said, what, the band are not Jews? And the sound guy is not a Jew? And the security guys are not Jews? And the 500 police officers that have to work extra to direct traffic are not Jews? No way. It's not happening. Not happening. And he canceled the concert. And he got a lot of hate in the press and a lot of, he became crazy, he's not normal. A couple of days later, not even weeks, a couple of days later, this Israeli guy, this is what he tells me himself. He didn't tell me if I could say his name or not, that's why I'm not saying his name, but probably a lot of you know the story without me saying it. He was in a car accident, and there was nothing left of the car. 0, 0, 0. He showed me on WhatsApp, he sent me pictures of the car. Nothing, not a zeicher. And he came out without a scratch. How did he get out? He says a crazy thing. when the impact happened, the guy has a Jeep, and somehow the sunroof opened, and he flew out of the sunroof. And that's what saved his life. How do you fly out of a sunroof? I don't understand how that works. That's a stunt that, even Fast and Furious, they didn't know how to do. But, yeah. What happened? Hakadosh Baruch Hu decided a week before that this kid is going to Shamayim. And when Hakadosh Baruch Hu saw that he was Mekadesh Shem Shamayim, he brought Eliyahu Navi to take him out of the car. So it should be a Kiddush Hashem. You should realize. And he told me since then, there's no Saturday night concerts, period. Not summer, not winter, not anything. Out of the question, goodbye. He says, and I lose millions of shekel a year like that. But I don't care. I told him, by the way, you don't lose a penny. Then I'll prove it to you. He said, your albums sell more than all the other singers. You're a new kid on the block. It shouldn't be that way. So what does that mean? That the money that you're not making on the Saturday night concerts, Hashem's sending you in a different way, in a kosher way. A different channel. Because from Shabbos Kodesh, nobody ever loses. From doing the right thing, from making the right choice, nobody ever loses. But if he wanted to have questions, he could have had so many questions then. And by the way, this was a guy, this singer, took upon himself not to sing on Shabbat because of this other guy who died that night when I spoke by the Shiva. That's what came out of that night. Unbelievable thing. And I'm just giving you an example. And many others that followed suit. Many others. There are plenty today of Israeli singers, especially in the Middle Eastern genre, that don't sing on Shabbat anymore. And that night was a game changer in the whole industry. And once one does it, it's not embarrassing for the next guy to do it anymore, so they're able to, one after another, they're able to follow each other. It's an amazing thing, the hashpah, the good things that could happen. That's a person who sees Hashem and doesn't want to, and doesn't stay like the shifcha, doesn't close their eyes. And that's the most important part of the thing. So, what do we tell the Rasha? He comes with excuses. He says, I understand there's a God, I believe in God, I love God. But ma'avodah, why do I have to do physical mitzvot? What do I need mitzvot for? I'll have a relationship with Him. I love God. Ideally, like the Christians, they love whatever they love. Religion or love. They love, that's it. That's where it ends. So we tell him, you're right. Break his teeth. Let's break his teeth. Break his teeth is a parable. Put in front of him a good steak, perfectly cooked, chef quality, and break his teeth, otherwise known as can't eat. He says, what do you mean? I want to eat, I'm hungry. What do you need to eat for? Feel it. In your heart. Feel it. And then you won't even get a bill at the end. You save money. You'll eat in your heart. Drink in your heart. Say Rasha. When it comes to eating and drinking and every other pleasurable activity that you want to do in life, you understand you have to do something physical about it. Your heart doesn't mean anything. When it comes to a mitzvah, suddenly in my heart, I keep it in my heart. I have a good heart. Once, not long ago, I think it was last week. I remember it, last week Tuesday. My sister-in-law got married, and not this past, the one before. And I was by the wedding, and I don't know, I had to be productive during the wedding as well. And there was one Israeli guy over there, very, very sweet boy, in his 20s, who I'm not sure his connection, but whatever he was. And we got into a little interesting conversation, friendly conversation, about all different things. At the end he told me, listen, you have your way of life, I have my way of life, live and let live. And let me tell you something, I'm not less than anybody else. And he told me in Hebrew like this, Ani lo gonev, I don't steal. Ani lo rotzeach, I don't kill. And he gave me a list of things like that, I don't know, 2, 3 more things. So what was I supposed to answer a guy like that? What was the answer? Hashem sent such a siyata d'shmai, it was unbelievable. As he's telling this to me, over there they're cutting up chicken. On the smorgasbord, like shawarma, whatever. I take a plate, I fill it all up nicely, I hand it to him. I says, this for you? He says, no, I'll take care of myself. I don't need so much. Very, very nice boy. So I said, no, this is for you to keep. He said, what keep? Why do you do this? I said, take it home. He said, why do you do this at home? I said, the chicken doesn't steal, and he doesn't cheat, and he doesn't, and not only that, he even wakes you up in the morning. It's a good alarm clock. Rooster. So I said, that shidduch we can make over here tonight. You want the chicken. But Israelis, you have to be careful, because in Israel, a lady recently married a dolphin, so Be careful what you say. Yeah, I wish I was joking. The Israeli government allowed it too. She fell in love with a dolphin, she married a dolphin. Okay? I just don't understand why she doesn't go under the water with him a little. Stay there. One-way trip. One-way trip. That's the Yesod to say that, to do. Everything's proactive. Ask, get your answers, and now put them in action. Chametz resembles the Yetzer Hara. Matzah resembles the Yetzer Tov. We take 7 days, 8 days, whatever. Yom Tov Sheni Shel Chutz La'aretz, Mashiach will still come before Pesach, or it won't be 8 days. And we tell a person, let's eliminate the fluff, the hot air, the noise, all the excuses, and let's incorporate the actual right way to live. I give you a gift to take home. It's an amazing gift. I said this last year also, in the last year before Pesach. There's a pasuk that says, Hashir yeh lachem kilel hitkadesh chag. The translation roughly is, the song will be for you like the night of the holiday. What song, what holiday, what's this pasuk talking about? Comes Rashi HaKadosh and writes an unbelievable thing. Rashi's not mystics, it's pshat. The explanation of the pasuk. Hashir yeh lachem, Rashi writes, la'atid lavo. Lahavdilat hafei avdalot. Now baseball season's starting. Maybe in the snow at the rate we're going. And when you go to a game, so you buy a ticket. Not all tickets cost the same. The price gaps are very big. What does it depend on? Where you're seated. If you're in a field box, if you're here, if you're there, the better the seat is, the better the view is, the more expensive the ticket is. When Mashiach comes, everybody's seeing Mashiach. All Jews are going to see Mashiach. But it's an arena. And now everybody has a seat. So how do I know where I'm going to be seated when Mashiach comes? I want to get box seats. I want to get good seats. I always like the best. I want the best then too. How do I know? How do we secure a good seat when Mashiach comes? Comes Rashi and writes, Hashir yeh lachem la'atid lavo. When Mashiach comes and we sing the praises of God because Mashiach came, you want to know where you're going to sit? What part of that you're going to be? Kilel hitkadesh chag. The way your Hallel looked on the night of the Seder. If on the night of the Seder by Hallel you fell asleep, so when Mashiach comes you're going to be sleeping. And if on the night of the Seder by Hallel you were a ball of fire, when Mashiach comes you got VIP seating front row. Isn't that a good gift to take home? So gauge your Seder plans in a way that when Hallel comes, there should be at least a little energy left in you. There should be a real Hallel, a real praise to God, a real thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. הטוב כי לא חלו רחמך והמלכים כי לא תמו חסדיך. חסדי השם ושביזכר לקיים פסח כהלכתו. Hopefully to bring in קורבן פסח ובית מקדש במהרה. אמן ואמן.